Yo, what up, universe? It's Geronimo, your shaman and guide to all the compounds that help you become your greatest self. Today, I'm talking about the time I died or had a near-death experience on LSD. So, at that time, I did not know the potential effects of LSD. I had done it a couple times before, and those were all great times, great experiences. I felt very connected to the divinity, very mystical. The most beautiful experience I ever had. But I was using it irresponsibly at that time, and I would dose maybe like 2 times a week. I kept having to add more to my dose because you gain a tolerance pretty quickly with psychedelics. So I was doing like 4 tabs. I think that's when I had the bad trip. So I did 4 tabs after waiting a week or something, and smoked some weed, which for those of you that have done that like doubles the effects and brings on paranoia and fear. So something to be warned of. And so I was sitting in my car. This is not something smart to do. I was with my friends. We don't drive anywhere, of course not. But we would listen to music, and we wouldn't even have the car turned on. We would just be plugged in, and so we could have the surround sound listening to music. And I was playing a Breaking Benjamin song. I was into them at the time. And if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like this angry, grungy music. And I was contemplating the end of the world. So those are 2 things you shouldn't be doing while on LSD, first of all, is rock music, angry rock music, and then thinking about the end of the world. You know, I was raised Christian, and so I was kind of brainwashed into seeing the way that most Christians saw things. You know, now we're learning about Neville Goddard and all these other teachers where they kind of have it figured out, where it was just like the blind leading the blind before. And so I was kind of convinced that the government was bad, and there was going to be an antichrist, and all these different things. And so all this fear was deep within me, and was rooted as beliefs. This is how powerful your beliefs are. And I had no idea. I had no idea how deep it went, and that it would magnify the effects. So suddenly I'm contemplating like what the end of the world is, and then I guess the dose fully kicks in, and everything around me turns to plastic. Like the world, I just realized it's all fake, like all at once. And that was my first like really true spiritual experience of realization. So it was like too much information. I was like, oh my God. And then I died. I completely died. So the world turned to plastic around me. I watched it, like the car, and then everyone around me just solidified. And it was just one moment. And then I was just a part of it. But then I like got taken into a void, into this void state where I was like the universe, and I was like empty and formless, and I was just like screaming. I was just like in so much pain. There was so much fear within me. And now that I'm learning about people's ayahuasca experiences, it's kind of similar to that. I haven't done ayahuasca yet, but it was kind of like this purging experience, I'm realizing, of facing like the shadows, facing the fear, these beliefs that were rooted in me that weren't true. You know, it's your infinite love, your infinite abundance, you're whatever you say I am to. But I was saying I am to, and I was raised a certain way, so we all have trauma and all that shit. So I wasn't fully over that yet, fully over the unworthiness, fully over the Christian viewpoint of being a sinner, being worthless, you know, oh, you have to get saved, the end of the world, and all of these different seeds that were planted in me, they came to life. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it was probably one of the most horrific experiences I've ever had, but at the same time, one of the most beautiful. Because in that state, somewhere in that void state of me being stretched out, and it's like I died. I felt like I died. I don't know if that's what the end is. Hopefully, you know, maybe it's different for everyone. But I remember I heard the words like okay. That's the only thing I heard. I felt this word of okay, like, and that even in that state of terror and fear, when I was facing my deepest fears, kind of, and the end of the world happened. It was just like the end of me, so to speak. There was this sense of okay that kind of washed over everything. And I kind of, it started just making the feeling into a neutral state where it was neither good nor bad anymore. I just kind of was. And yeah, that was my first ego death. First ego death, now that I'm realizing, you know, what that truly was. It feels like I got my kind of slate kind of wiped clean, and I got rebirthed when I was still kind of under in my head. And somehow, so my friends took me out because they weren't tripping, and we went, somehow I hopped a fence or something, and then I fell into a pool. And so I was still under, I was still kind of in this experience of the void state and being nothingness and, you know, the okay. And it was just this, oh, by the way, it was an infinite, like, moment. It was like literally just infinity. That's what it felt like. Like, this moment is all there is and all it was. And I kind of forgot that, and I was remembering it in this moment, but it was such a shocker. Anyways, we hopped a fence somehow, and then I stumbled into the pool. And that's when I completely awoke. Like I was just being born again. And I was like, what? I was like, what happened? They were so mad at me, of course, because they were like, dude, you were freaking out. They're just like, and as soon as I hit the water, I was sober. So I don't know if my blood, like my body was pumping something in me because it thought I was dying or something. So it was like pumping all these chemicals to get everything going. I don't know. But once I hit the water and came out, I was like completely sober. So I went from having that crazy experience to nothing. And it took, you know, of course I didn't trip for a while after that. And I had to figure out where that came from and why it happened and why I don't see a lot of people talking about it. You know, I've heard horror trips of people doing psychedelics, but at the same time, like this mystical state, this mystical realization of realizing like the moment is all there is and all it ever has been. And you are the whole universe and all these things. Like, you know, of course I'm painting that picture together now, and it all makes sense, and I'm in a much better state than I was, of course. But I just wanted to make this video to give you guys a heads up, like it's all fun and games until you go overboard. And so, especially if you have trauma in you, if stuff happened to you when you're a kid, you got abused, abandoned, like that can, that unworthiness, it's kind of like a belief system somewhere in you. And you have to, I mean, the psychedelics help you face that. There's probably better ways and better environments to do that. And probably doing ayahuasca would be the best for that shadow work healing. Because of course you're surrounded by shaman and stuff. I was just surrounded by my friends. And of course, the world's gonna be more okay with psychedelics in the coming years. The more states are gonna legalize it and stuff. But yeah, that was just so powerful. And Now it's like I'm a new person. I'm a whole new person, and I don't have, those fears are like long since gone, and I haven't had any experiences like that. Of course, I haven't had the need to take heroic dosages anymore, but doing this inner work is really important. And that's something when using psychedelics that you want to keep in hand in hand. Like psychedelics open the door, but you still have to like walk through it. And they can show you so much, but at the same time, you have to wait time and like really think about like what all was going on, like what actually happened. What did I really understand? And what do I need to do now in this moment, you know? So yeah, that's the first time I died on acid. So hope you guys enjoyed that. See ya.